Hey everyone, nice to have you up here on top of Masada. This is the precipice upon which the Israelites built a fortress, which you just saw in the pan as Zoe went around with the camera. It's a very solemn place. There were 967 Israelites who avoided to the best of their ability being captured by the Romans, and we believe it was somewhere around 72 to 74, 75 AD, somewhere around there. 15,000 Romans in the valley, gathered in the valley below. 10 to 12,000 of them were soldiers trying to kill the Israelis. And the way they finally were able to breach the fortress here was they built a land bridge on the opposite side of us right now, behind Zoe there, in a valley between two mountains. And they used the mountain behind them. They literally took the top off of it and filled in the valley between. And that's how they were able to cross. But they were not only able to capture a total of 7 Israelis, 5 women and 2 children, because the other 960, although they believed they weren't allowed to take their own lives according to their faith, what they ended up actually doing was making a pact. 10 men were chosen to kill the rest of them. And then from the remaining 10, 1 was chosen to kill the other 9, and then eventually only 1 would have to take their own life. And the reason for that is because they believe that since it was God that gave them life, it was not for them to take their own life. And we believe, that's why we believe in the sanctity of life, because God gave it to us, God breathed it into us. We don't have the right to take our own lives, and they believe the same, and we agree with that. And so here we are at the top of Masada. It's a beautiful place. It's a very solemn place, a lot of sadness for the history of Israel here. So God bless you all. We hope you're having a good day, and thank you for watching. Hi again, everyone. We're here in Getty, and this is an amazing place. As you just saw, a beautiful waterfall. Above me to the right, they believe at one time was a cave, and these rocks that are all around us here, they believe fell down. That was the floor of the cave, and they also believe that there was a time when David was hiding out from Saul and his men, that it was here that they actually hid out from Saul and his men. Again, just an amazingly gorgeous little refreshing place. One thing that comes to my mind in one word to describe this place is refreshing. The springs, the microenvironment is the dry air is filled with moisture. It cools everything down. There's a microclimate here that's just remarkable. It's so beautiful. And we just sang some worship songs. My soul is refreshed. It's a beautiful place. God bless you. Hey, Pastor John here. We are at the area of the Dead Sea where the Dead Sea Scrolls were found. This is called Qumran. So there was a community here called the Essenes. They were a passionate group of Hebrews, Jewish people who wanted to restore Judaism because it was being diluted in Jerusalem around the temple at the time. And so they actually started a community here. We toured some of the ruins of their ritual baptisms that they would do multiple times a day to make sure that they were clean. But we've also learned about how the original scrolls were found in the 20th century in a cave to the north of here. That was cave number 1. Just to my left here, you can see cave number 4. And so once the Bedouins of the area started finding scrolls, they then started to search some of the other caves, eventually found scroll after scroll after scroll, to the point where they actually have now everything except 2 of the Old Testament books, one of them being Esther, and they think that might be because the name of God's not mentioned in that book anywhere. So, but here's the most fascinating thing for me personally about this is before the 20th century, before the time of the finding of the Dead Sea Scrolls, this is how significant the finding of the Dead Sea Scrolls was. One example, the rabbis were all trying to promote the story that Isaiah 53 had been added in to the book of Isaiah by Christians because it just looked too much. It just sort of spelled out Christ to them too much, and they didn't like that. So they said, no, the Christians snuck it in there. And up until that point, the oldest scrolls that they had of the book of Isaiah were 9th century. So this is actually, the Dead Sea Scrolls are 1,000 years 1 BC, 1,000 years earlier. And they just convinced all the Jewish community, no, that was added in by the Christians. Well, the Dead Sea Scrolls predated Christ, And then when they found these scrolls and they were able to identify in 3 different scrolls specifically, Isaiah 53 right there in the scrolls, then they couldn't explain it away. Now today, many of them, they've chosen to actually believe that that's speaking about Israel and the suffering of Israel. They won't accept that that's actually Jesus. But wow, what archaeological importance to us today. This is a real connection with us today, and how important it is that we know that the Bibles that we have today are the same Bible that Jesus had in his day, the same Old Testament that Jesus had in his day. Again, that's all from the Dead Sea Scrolls and from Qumran. Lord bless you.